I'm joined today by my good friend and fellow member of the community, Annette, who is actually, we're going to talk about how you basically made this transition over to fractional product management. We've gotten a chance to know each other, obviously, through the program. And then I would love to talk to you about how you made this transition happen for yourself. And then amazingly, what I love about talking to people about side hustles is just the doors that open up afterwards. And to talk about like the retreat that you're very exclusively hosting down there in beautiful
Mhm.
Guatemala. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Lake Atchison, Guatemala, which is this beautiful area in the highlands of Guatemala, and it's known as the land of eternal spring. And I don't know if you can see, if I shift my body a little bit, you'll see that there's some volcanoes that surround this beautiful lake, and it's unlike anything you really have seen anywhere in the world. It's beautiful down here and very underrated, kind of like one of those gems that haven't been found yet.
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure that status is about to be changed real soon.
Shh,
Yeah,
don't spread it too far.
it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely stunning over there. So,
It is.
Annette, by all means, I mean, you've been a product manager. Tell us a little bit about your
Mhm.
background and
Yes. So I started as a project manager doing SaaS, software as a service, software builds. And then it evolved from there into being a product manager because I found that my background really lent itself to having this high performance point of view to everything. So way, way, way back, it really started in my auto racing career because that is not just about high performance as a person, but you're also learning how to build systems and structures to get the most out of performance from both the machine and from the people. So I've always had this kind of mindset with everything that I approach. And that's where I wound up being a project manager, but very quickly wound up in product management. And then from there, I was getting a lot of requests from people who were working with me in other capacities or who met me through networking events. And they really wanted to have a product manager work with them for getting their product with a product proper value fit to their people and to be able to scale their business with ease. And what happened was is people were approaching me saying, listen, I really love to use your services, but I can't afford you full time. What would it look like to have you on a part-time basis? And that's where fractional product management really came into my life.
how did you come about that term using fractional? Because like I threw it
Mhm.
out there because I started seeing because there's when we're talking about fractional in like the recruiting world, fractional like it's very well it's very widely used in like fractional CFO
Yeah.
or like fractional finance controller or fractional like chief marketing officer or head of marketing. But like, how did you come about using the word like fractional for your title?
Well, it came exactly from those examples, like what you just said. And I noticed that a lot of my clients did already have fractional CFOs, fractional CEOs that were working inside their companies. So it seemed like a natural fit that it was also a nomenclature that they would identify with for understanding how this would fit into their existing enterprise for helping them get to the next level with their business offerings.
Got it. So how did the lead generation process come about for you? Like, how did you make contact with them, or how did they make contact
Yeah.
with
For me, it was a little bit of a different situation. So I've had my own agency that's been focused on building automated systems, software as a service using no code apps and other ways of establishing things through APIs and some custom scripts. So we're always building different automated systems to help companies scale. And what I was finding was that we could help the companies scale and I would build them this wonderful architecture that would allow them to scale like an aperture in a camera, where it would go to what they needed all the way to expanding to what they needed. But a critical key piece was missing for them, which was uh, enabling the ability of the full maximum potential of that scalability with a lacking of having their product be an absolute fit to their market and not really having a scientific formula or framework to apply to it. A lot of people, especially in the industry of information products and workshop facilitating and that kind of realm of what we work inside for our clients, a lot of them it organically grew. Plus, also you got to think about that whole industry. They're like pre-sell something, get it out there, and allow it to organically just evolve from there, which is a great way to do a quick start for a launch. But when you want to scale to full capacity, you need to be a little more sophisticated. Otherwise, you're going to hit kind of like this glass ceiling and you're not going to know why. And that's where I started working with people for doing the value proposition design with their product development. And so, because I already had a list of clients, all I did was go to my existing list of clients who already have a relationship with me and say, hey, listen, I noticed that like you could really use some extra juice over here. How about you work with me in this capacity? Because a lot of my clients have always asked, hey, how can we work with you in a larger capacity? So it was an easy fit because I knew that I had a short list of people who really wanted to work with me in that capacity. So I just needed to create a container that people could step inside.
Well, I love it. I love it. And then how do you, I guess, while you're still maintaining multiple work engagements, I mean, how do you price out your offer? How do you price out your offer and determine kind of, because in the world of freelancing and consulting, obviously the shorter the engagement, you're charging a higher hourly rate, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
of course, if it's like something that's recurring, how do you charge for that?
Yeah, so for me, I have been collecting metrics for a super long time. So I have an idea. I've been doing coaching even before we did the automated thing. I was a marketing coach in Vancouver before I came down to Guatemala. So I have a ton of metrics to know how long it takes to get someone to a certain point in their business, how many hours that will be, and then backcast from there to create the packages. So that's how we structured our pricing. But I have a lot of data that I'm able to pull on.
Data. Okay. So what doors has that opened up for you as a result of kind of going down this fractional product management route?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting thing because a lot of people know that a lot of my clients obviously know that I live in this wonderful location. It also opened up dialogue about Annette. I would really love to have an excuse to come to Guatemala. Can you please put together a retreat? Can you please do something that would allow me to have the opportunity to go down there for business? And so what it's done is it's not only opened me up to having a handful of these fractional product management contracts, but also now it's opened up the doorways to having this retreat and facilitating that so there's a larger reach. And also then we start to bring in community. We start to bring in the hive mind. So it's not just me consulting. People will get my advice and my leadership on, hey, this is how you want to work through this framework. But now you're going to get the benefits of a hive mind, which is really where you get to get a lot out of the process because the more people who are going through this particular framework that I use, which is from the strategizer group, it's called the value proposition design. And it's this really fun way of using sticky notes on these shapes and you just brain dump and it unlocks that playfulness while also being a framework where there's no guesswork. This is not something that's like, oh, in theory, this should work. It is literally a structure to walk people through on how to make sure that they have a proper fit for their product to their market. And then once you have that unlocked, then the next phase is to make sure that the company can scale with minimal friction. So we handle that in the retreat from start to finish, along with mindset, because also as entrepreneurs, if you don't have the right mindset, you're only going to get so far anyways. And that then circles back to really where I started from, which is the auto racing and getting into the flow state and how to remove limiting beliefs and blocks so that you can achieve your utmost potential.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so the retreat, let's talk details. How like they come down there, is there a topic that has already been agreed upon beforehand?
Mhm.
How long are you running it? Like a week or like a weekend? Like tell us some details about the retreat.
So it's 11-day intensive retreat, and you're going to walk away with your product design. You're going to also have us do your actual tech stack implementation for you for your sales funnel, and you'll have ongoing support after that. And then while you're down here, what we focus on is getting you into the flow state. So there's this other mindset framework that's out there where it's like, hey, shut off everything in your life, get to a different location, shut off your phone, tell people that you are like off the grid. And when you do that and use some other different methods, there is the ability to get so much more done in such a shorter period of time. And I've watched other people, even doctors on YouTube, be like, hey man, if you do this, you can like get a week or a month done in a day. And there's some science behind that, which is you're able to unlock more because you're not having split energy. You're not having split focus. And we're going to go deep and we're going to get to the nuggets that you need to get to in order to unlock that next revenue stage that you want to achieve inside your business.
That's crazy. You wanna do you wanna announce here like how much you're charging for this for people that are interested in coming down to Guatemala?
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of different locations and times throughout the year, and they're seasonal specific for the pricing. So it's better if people go to theproductretreat.com, go there, book a session with us, and then we can get on a call with you, make sure it's the right match for you to be a part of this retreat. And then we can go through and see which season and which rooms, all that kind of stuff is the best match for what your needs are.
Productretreat.com.
Yeah, theproductretreat.com.
Theproductretreat.com. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll be sure to have that. Theproductretreat.com. I'm looking it up right now because I'm pretty excited about this. Like, when are you, how many times do you host it like a year?
So there's 3 times that are coming up. So we have August in Guatemala, October in Vancouver, and then another winter time that hasn't been defined yet for Guatemala again.
I see. How, how, how many, I mean, how many people have signed up for it? And if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, we have a handful of people have signed up so far for our August one, and we've just opened it up because there has been a positive feedback. I'm like, oh, geez, I think we actually have to maybe even move locations. So I just reached out to another uh, facility to see if we can expand our space, and it looks like we can. So we're going to be taking on a few more spots.
Oh, so, I mean, this is awesome. I mean, all wow. So like, uh, they come on out there, they go out there and they basically get to do a lot of deep work,
Deep
uh,
dive.
deep dive, and then they basically shut down everything. This really reminds me of that book, 12-week year, which is like you,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah, right,
exactly. It's
right,
like that mindset. Like we're going to go deep, we're going to get a shit
right.
ton done, and we're going to accomplish a lot, and we're going to have you walk away with a product that is either designed for you if you're a startup or next level for you if you've already got your product, in addition to also having your tech stack completely aligned to your current scale of your business, where you want to go with the scale of your business, working with whatever tech stack you currently have. If you don't have a tech stack, helping you define what that's going to look like, because that's going to be the undercarriage, the chassis, if you will, that's going to carry your product so that you can fully scale with ease. Because what happens is most companies, okay, let's say you've landed the product with a perfect fit, people can't get enough of it. How do you scale without having friction? It's extremely difficult unless you are able to leverage technology. And then it's having the right technology, because if you don't have the right tech stack, you're going to run into tech complications and breakdowns. And I've seen so many of my customers go through that the most inopportune times when they're trying to blow up and their systems are literally blowing up. So what we're doing is helping people proactively get ahead of that curve so that then their business can scale with less friction and more ease.
That is crazy. There was this productivity expert that said focus on one thing at a time. The name, I think the guy's last name was Lee or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You know who it is I'm talking about?
I do. I know the book, yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, I'm looking it up right now. Me, time management. Ivy Lee, the Ivy Lee time management. Is it Ivy Lee? Yeah,
Oh, there's another book called Just Do One Thing, which is like, and no, what Alex and Leela Hermosi talk about this all the
yeah,
time. Just
yeah,
do
yeah.
one thing. And when
Right.
you get to that cap, don't start another business. Figure out how to get through that barrier to the next level instead of diverting to something else. Because if you have something that's working, continue to just do that one thing well and continue to refine it and refine it. And you'll eventually get to a place where it is a machine on autopilot, especially with today. Like there's such this wonderful opportunity that we have as small business owners who are transitioning into medium business owners and entrepreneurs at large, where we get to have the ability to scale with technology that in the past decades only enterprise could do. We have access to these things now, but the barrier is most people don't understand how to leverage it, or it's such a steep learning curve that they're already trying to get their product and their fit working. How do you also then get the tech? Like it can be a little bit overwhelming. And this is why we do the deep dive and then hand people the items done for them for the technology side of things. So it takes that off of their mental plate of something yet else they have to figure out. Do your genius, get your product out there, get it in with the right people, and then allow us to get your tech to be able to scale that so that you have a money making machine.
I think this is actually like hearing you talk about all this, why um former athletes in have done very well in our program. And I've also seen
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of athletes have, I mean, being privileged as like, one of the co-founders here, um, in meeting other entrepreneurs, that why athletes do so well is so many other people would procrastinate on, like I gotta do some more research. But if you've ever competed in sports at any level, it's game day, right? It's like it's gonna be Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
like it's Monday, it's like it's Tuesday. So you don't have all this time because there's already a day on the calendar that's ready to go. So you got to know how to implement, very like you have to know how to pivot and implement your idea really quickly, because uh yeah, I remember about a month ago I threw it out there that I started seeing some fractional product management titles, and it's amazing that if you just change the name of the packaging, what kind of you get. So if you call yourself like
Mm-hmm.
a freelance, if you call yourself like a freelancer, it's like, oh, like free, right? But if you call yourself fractional product manager, like, yeah, like I need a product manager at the fraction of the cost, because I really need a fraction of the time. But everybody that has embarked in some type of side hustle, I've actually really seen that the amazing thing is that all the different doors that it opens up right afterwards, as soon as they actually just take that first step, which you obviously did.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing I think that anyone who's done any athletic sports in the past of any nature that is highly competitive knows that it's not just one game day. Like you have the start of the season, or you have when you start the league or whenever that is, but then you test and measure. You're constantly reviewing what you're doing, so it just start somewhere, because if you never start, it goes back to what you're saying, then the whole season would just pass you by and you never even participated once in one event. You have to just start, and then you go, okay, what did I do well? What needs improvement? And it's the same with business. What did we do well? What needs improvement? And that's what I really love about this framework, is because and it's the same framework I use in the fractional product management position that I use with companies. Is it allows you, after we set up this framework, to then naturally have it be in a test and measure a format. So then it's just an experiment. And I love the word experiment because it's not so heavy. You're just
Right.
experimenting.
You're just running with
And yeah, and I think we need to take that approach even as whether you're a product manager in enterprise level, whether you're a fractional product manager, whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to come down and do our retreat, you want to, after the fact, test and measure, do experiments, and then you're going to up your game. Like no athlete goes, "Oh, okay, I did that first event of the season. I'm good." No, you keep going, but you need to have that passion and that fire in your gut to want to do that.
100%. I could not agree with it more. So, last little takeaway of the day. So, anybody that wants to come down to Guatemala this August, what's the price tag on that thing?
The price tag is call us and find out.
I love
we
it.
we are providing a lot of value because you're not only down here for 11
Right.
days, we have some retreat days where we're going to out and we're going to do some fun stuff together. There's also the fact that we're going to be including all of the tech build for you after you get your product completely up leveled or defined through this 11-day process. So there's a lot more to it, and there's ongoing support for a year thereafter. So you're really investing in getting your business to the next level to be on a retreat with us. So it's not just like, ah, I'm coming down doing a yoga retreat for a few days. This is a much more intensive investment that is going to up level your business. And that's why it's something that I really invite people to have a dialogue with us to make sure it's the right fit and something that they want to participate in.
I think it's going to do exceptionally well because back in 2018, I don't think this business made it past the pandemic, but I did have a few people from New York tell me that there was this retreat in Puerto Rico where they were just teaching product managers how like enough coding to be dangerous. And
Yep.
of course, they marketed like a mini fire festival. uh, Yeah, it was like a testimonial of like attractive person, attractive person. And they're like, but you're still gonna learn how to code. And I think people were like, yeah, I don't care about that at this point. And they charged a price tag at that time, which I thought was ridiculous. But like they charged a price tag depending on the season. It was anywhere between I'll say like 8 to 18K
Mhm.
just to learn how to code for like a week. Uh,
Right. And that was no follow-up support.
right.
Exactly.
Right.
And
And
ours is definitely priced at a better value than that.
oh man. Well, the their offer was come learn enough coding to be dangerous, which I thought was like a hyper inflated Coursera course in person. But obviously it's
Hmm.
like they put you in they take you out of the hustle and bustle of New York.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, obviously, I think you can pretty much come in from anywhere, but it was really heavily marketed towards East Coast product managers because you could
Mhm.
literally, it was like, just come out here for a weekend. You're only like a short 3 hour flight. And then they had like, games, activities, and like people can go out there and kind of hang out. So I, I
Yeah.
think, I think this is really cool because I've seen a lot of a very similar business model. People are looking to, it it's like if you sell people on like coming back into the office, it's not a very attractive value prop because it's just like we're so stressed out with what's going on in the market. So why don't we stress out about it in person, right? Like that doesn't get people to
Hmm.
want to come out. But if you're actually talking, and ultimately you want your team to come back because you want your team to be, you want to go ahead and create some solutions to some very real world problems that you're having right now. So if you just like freelance product manager versus fractional product manager, right? But once
Yeah.
you actually dub it as like, do you guys want to go ahead and do like a team retreat, or like, do you guys want to go ahead and do like a snowboarding trip, right? As like a team, right? In Whistler.
Mhm.
Uh, well, all of a sudden you completely change the dynamic because really it's just you only need to bring the team back for a very short but very productive use of time, right? So this idea of like, oh no, I'm not going back into the office from now until forever, ever. Like I might as well just go be so many people. They literally I've had so many startup founders that's like in our my little group chat that'll just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've asked the team to
And
come
I
back. office.
And I want to speak
Good.
to this too because it's incredible when like that spirit of like having fun, like, oh my gosh, it's a snowboarding trip in Whistler instead of going into the office. There's something to that, like even in sports performance, if you look at it, the teams that are having the most amount of fun are the ones who perform the best and are usually the champions versus the ones that are super stressed out. If you put a team that is like high performing, but really enjoying themselves versus a team that is high performing, that is like under stress or not really jiving with where they're at, like there's something clunky there, this team is always going to win. And so that's another reason why it's so great to come to an environment like this, whether you're an entrepreneur who has a product, like I said, that's already existing, whether you're thinking about developing product, or for that matter, if you're a product manager, you want to learn a new framework based on this value proposition design, which is based from actually Switzerland, this man named Yves Binier. The framework's amazing and it's foolproof. And I love it. And I really think that every business, like I'm obviously biased here, but I really feel like every business should be using this framework, whether you're enterprise or whether you're entrepreneur.
Well, I think judging by your backdrop, even if they don't believe in it 100%, they seem like they're more than willing to at least give it a shot. Like, so, I think that kind of helps out. So yeah, I also think like making learning fun.
Yes.
Because you know, any like any addition to friction here is not helpful, but we will have thank you for taking time off of your very busy day in paradise to come and talk to us about transitioning to fractional product management. If you guys are interested in reaching out to Annette, we're gonna have your LinkedIn handle, we're gonna have your contact information along with more information. If you guys are interested in going down to the retreat, we're gonna have all that information for you in the YouTube description. Definitely go ahead and check it out. I'm due in for a wedding in August, but not my own. But I absolutely Guatemala is actually has never been on my travel list, but actually in preparation for this podcast today, I've done some research. I don't see why not. I'm really not that far away from there, considering I spent half of my time in the West in Los Angeles, anyways, where my parents are at. So uh, not this one, but definitely I will make it down there at the very least to just say hi because it looks absolutely beautiful down there.
It's paradise all year
Uh,
round.
I love
Beautiful.
it. I love it. Annette, you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much, Richard. Take care.